Here are some loop ideas. And if you do want access to these ideas, as well as the entire guide from today's video, all of the assets from this video, so you have a full understanding of looping, you can use the link in the description down below. But let's talk through some ideas while these are running. If you're a content creator, you could run a loop for looking at data and then coming up with ideation for new content every day. Not just if you're a content creator, if you have any product, you need to create content. So I think distribution is the key in the modern era. So this pretty much overlaps with everything. All of these goals can be run on intervals, remember? So if you have a goal of writing YouTube title options, you can also run it with a loop. So the AI reviews its own work, and then you can run an outer loop, basically scheduling an interval for a task to be completed. If you're marketing, you can actually run scraping on people's ads or content that's working well. This is really cool. If you're running a business and you have the data, for example, let's say Slack, you can put an agent into your Slack. By the way, subscribe because I'm doing a video on exactly how to do that. And then you can run a loop, which reads all of the updates from your team channels and automatically compiles a list of blockers in the business and a summary of the business. So that's how you can use Claude Code to actually audit your business. It can run a loop to audit it, which is, I think, like a really, really amazing use case of a loop. Now, you might think, oh, but I'm not running a business. You can just run a personal business. You are a business. Any side hustle you have, whether it is, content creation, whether it's digital products, whether it's e-com, you're running your own business. So why not set up an environment? It could be Telegram, Discord, or even Slack, which I'll do a video on, to run your agents like real employees. You can even give your employees names and run it like a real company. I feel like that formality actually helps people get better results out of their agents because it changes their thinking around agents. Because most people have this word like, they see the word agents, they're like, oh, that's really, ambiguous. But in reality, an agent's just like an employee, just like a real employee. It needs to be properly onboarded. It needs to be given and empowered with information so it can act. If you have an employee and you onboard them into your business and you don't give them any information about the business, no context about the business, how do you expect it to perform? If you don't define what you want it to do, in other words, /goal, how do you expect an agent to perform? Just like you wouldn't expect an employee to perform. If you don't tell an employee how often you want something done, how do you expect them to complete that task on that interval? So I feel like people have like this idea of agents and AI as if it's so different from the real world, but it's really not. They're really just digital employees. And if you treat them more like real digital employees, then you'll just get better outcomes across your agentic work in general. Let's say you have bank statements. You can run a loop to look at your bank statements. Of course, it's still manual with the bank portal, so you might need to download it and get a CSV file, but there are all sorts of things you can do in your own life. You could run a loop for Claude every hour, let's say, or every day, whatever you want, to look through your downloads folder or your desktop and just clean it up in the categorization that you tell it with /goal. So there are probably all sorts of things in your personal life that you could clean up and audit that you can also run on Claude alongside your business stuff. And I'm using it in both areas of my life.